Pflugerville is home for me. I've got friends who say, well, when we retire, we're going to move down to the coast, or we're going to go to Colorado. I said, man, I'm retired and I'm right here. This is where they're going to plant me right here someday.
I was asked one time by the press, who would you say was the single most important person in town? And I couldn't answer the question. I said, there's not a single most important. There's a whole lot of people who've done a whole lot to keep this community running. And you don't see that. There's not anybody who wants to take credit for it. There's not anybody who wants to stand out in the limelight. I think that speaks to the heart of the community, that they do what they have to do. It's probably back to their old pioneer heritage days. You came in and you did what you needed to do to make the city function and to improve the city.
I've seen just so much change for the better in Pflugerville. It's an ideal place to live, and I just continue to see Pflugerville getting better and better.
The collaboration, looking at problems, trying to find out what's best. And I think one of the things that Pflugerville has forever been is whatever comes up as a need, something that needs to be done, we would like to have this, that it's been a community effort that's come together to make it happen. And so there's numerous things in that category that I can say: the Fallen Warrior Memorial, the Pfluger Hall, the Deutschenfest, the schools. All of that has happened because the community is passionate and dedicated to those core values of togetherness.
This has been such an exciting time to be mayor, and we've grown so much. I can't wait to see what Pflugerville looks like 25 years from now. You know, what I want to challenge future mayors and future councilmen to do is to keep Pflugerville what it is, which at its roots, we are a rural German community that loves families. And that makes us a small community. Doesn't matter whether we're 50,000 people or 100,000 people or 200,000 people. If we'll keep those cultural roots together and strong, we have the ability to stay that small town that we want to stay.
East of Honolulu. The weather is good, the winds are...
Oh, I'd love to be an astronaut.
Gentlemen, this is our first comedy special in color. We've...
Come as you are and spend an enjoyable night out with the entire family.
The businesses that were in place back then were your mercantile drugstore, your meat market, and of course we had the 3 saloons that were open at that time.
I remember Mr. Nazy's store a lot. I thought Mr. Nazy, he was just such a kind man. I mean, he always had that starched white shirt and a tie, and it was a neat store. You know, it had the fountain, the full service fountain up front where you get malts and ice cream, and had the little chairs and tables in the back. In fact, I ended up with one of the children's chairs and tables.
There's one little shopping center there at the corner of Railroad and Pecan Street. They really didn't have anything in it for shopping, but it's the closest thing they had to a shopping center. Had more bars than it did anything else. When I saw riding mowers pulled up in front of Tufts on a Saturday morning, I said, this is my place. So that's what I realized. I can just get on my mower and drive down to the beer hall.
I used to go in Tufts. I felt real honored. I walked in there one day, and once again, the group, Kenneth Bowles and Hub and Charlie and Mott, and I don't remember who else. They let me sit at the table with them, and I felt really honored. I thought that, they said, this is the director's table.
Tufts was used to be across the street, and then it became a lawnmower shop in there, and he kept getting broken into is the reason he built the new one. And the last time he got broken into, they came in through the floor. The floor had rotted out so much they came in through the floor and robbed him.
But pretty much after a football game, it was lights out in Pflugerville. So.
I was pretty much of a tomboy, so I played football with the boys and basketball and did all those things that, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of entertainment type of things. You played jacks and stuff like that, which probably kids nowadays don't even know what that is.
Played football, you ran track, you played basketball, or you were in the band. And so those were the intramural activities, the extracurricular activities, and the whole community seemed to evolve around that.
I was pretty much into music, and I also had a rock and roll band, started a rock and roll band back then. It was called the Noblemen. I don't know that too many people remember that today, but that was the era during which time we had the British invasion of the Beatles and Rolling Stones, so I caught on to that big time, and pretty exciting time for me.
I lettered in football, basketball, baseball, track, and the whole 9 yards. In fact, I busted a math course my last year just so I could come back and play football another year. I remember when we went to Leander to play, they held the game up about 3/4 of an hour to check my birth certificate. And I was younger than some of their boys were, but I'd been playing for so long that they thought I was an old grandpa.